Hey there, and welcome back to episode 5 of the Coach Harris Show. We're on a roll here by now. Today I had the absolute pleasure of chatting with one of my great friends and former managers, actually, Josh Brown. So Josh is a really, really interesting guy with a lot of wisdom to share, which you'll hear in today's episode. He was a former Google employee. He left that career path to pursue a career in fitness. He was a personal trainer for 4 years, performing over 4,000 training sessions. That's a lot. And then he went into the managing role for 2 years where he oversaw quite a few trainers, their development, their sales business, and their coaching skills. He did a lot of great stuff for them and for myself as well. If stranded on an island, Josh would pick a kettlebell as his one piece of fitness equipment because, in his words, it is the Swiss Army knife of equipment. I couldn't agree more. Kettlebells are sweet. Aside from fitness, he loves to play the drums and look for investment opportunities. Quite the smart fellow. Finally, if you would look at Josh, you would never guess this, but he used to have dreadlocks back in the day. Right now, he has a nice, clean-shaved head, but in his former rock star life, he had some sweet dreads, which he will not share, unfortunately. But maybe we can get that out of him. So without further ado, today's episode is a conversation with Josh Brown. It's a great one. If you like this episode, I really, really hope you can take the time to go to Apple Podcasts, leave a nice review, and give me your feedback. I want to learn that way. I would love to hear anything you have to say, all right? So here is the convo with Josh Brown. Enjoy. So for everybody listening, this is Josh Brown, good friend of mine, and today we're going to chat some fitness, some life, kind of whatever. We'll see where it goes, but I just want to get to know you, Josh, a little bit, have the people listening kind of know your story, your fitness journey, so to speak, and anything else you want to get into. But right now, what's life like? What are you up to?
Turned on its head, right? Since last March, little C19 came in, and I actually kind of went through a whole life reinvention. Really kind of just tried to reinvent like areas that I maybe wasn't completely satisfied with or thought that I could like just maybe use this opportunity to pivot. So the wife and I moved from New York City, where I resided for 15 years, and we moved down to Charlotte to just be really in within like close proximity to nature. We both really thrive in that area, and really just try to find a counterbalance. Think of like the restorative to the hard work that you do. And that's really what we were trying to find was the restorative aspect of like daily life, and intertwined with that tension of wanting to work really hard and really kind of push, and just needing that counterbalance. So yeah, we've been here for 6 months and have really enjoyed that element that we have missed for so many years.
That's amazing. I love New York City, as I know you do and did, but it definitely sometimes lacks that counter. You know, it's work and then it's just city and work and city. So to be able to have that nature vibe must be really nice for your mental health, your physical health, and kind of coming back down to earth a little bit.
I remember this day that it was like a freezing cold day. I mean, we had like, we live next to the Hudson River right there in Chelsea, and, just cold, frigid day. Like one of those days where you're like, it's a pajamas. I'm sitting on the couch. I'm totally chilling. It's like a brutal winter day. And I remember, she came out and she was getting ready to go for a run, and all I could see were like her eyes from like her masks and everything. Like, and this is probably like, a good 10, 11 years ago. Right. But she looked like a ninja. And I was like, what are you doing? And she was like, I got to go for a run. And I was like, now, today? And she's like, yeah, if not now, when? And that moment right there was actually a super pivotal one for the way that my brain was kind of grasping like health and fitness, which was, if not now, when? If not today, at what point am I going to actually look out for myself, right? And that was kind of one of those moments where it was like a swift kick in the ass, whether she meant to do that or not. I was like, that has to be my new mantra, which is when today, not if, but when going to do something for my body and my mind today that's actually going to progress me forward and help me be healthier. So I think that was really kind of the pivotal moment, and just did like everybody else, started kind of just increasing my time at the gym, finding like people to follow and stuff like that. And it was just really trial and error. But I would say that was like the
pivotal moment. I love that. I think that's a really good lesson to take away, is that, and sometimes it takes those moments, to really get that kick in the ass, like you said, and keep kind of on the right track, is realizing there's never going to be a best time, and it's sometimes cliche, it's a little cheesy that today's the best time, but it's true in that there's, even when you get in the flow of things and things are consistent and you feel on a groove, something is going to come up and it's going to get in your way. So
Always.
Not really about the actual obstacle that's there with your fitness or anything else. It's about where your headspace is, and just kind of having the attitude to just keep doing what you were going to do regardless.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
For sure.
So once you got into the groove of things, because a lot of people will they'll have that pivotal moment. They realize fitness is an important part of their life. They'll start having a nice streak, and then something happens, right? Whether it's a little thing with their body, with their results, or maybe it's a life event, something tragic, something unexpected, a move, who knows? So are there any any glaring moments in your fitness life that have caused interruptions or tough moments?
Oh yeah. The first one that comes to mind is one day I was doing some yoga, and a super gentle, flowy class, like a total hippie vibe, right?
Yeah.
And it was my restorative kind of day and my thing that I was going to be doing. And I remember I was in pigeon pose, and I had it was my left knee that was kind of in front of my chest and was bent. And I just kept pushing and pushing. I wanted to go deeper and deeper, because in my head, it was like, well, I got to be able to do what the person's doing on the video. She's like lying all the way down, so I got to do that, I remember pushing, and pop, fast forward, found out that it was a torn meniscus. And so I had injured myself doing one of the most gentle things that you can do, which, later I learned, yoga can be really demanding on your knees anyway. And if you're not careful, but I learned the hard way. And that was one of those things that, like, man, I was late 20s, early 30s, maybe. And, but it was a big deal because it was a real injury. It was the first time that I'd ever really been injured doing something. And, of course, it really throws you off your game and off your goals and stuff like that. Enjoying running and all those things. I couldn't do it. Right. Lunging. Man, that was out of the question for a while and stuff like that. So it was, but what it taught me, Harris, was, it added another element, which was rehab, right? Which is restorative and actually doing the maintenance. And so I used to always tell clients, we can't, no Ferrari just goes onto the racetrack and just rips it without first going into the garage for the maintenance, the timing belt, the oils, all those things. First, it's that, right? Then you can go and execute. And so I learned that I wasn't taking care of the timing belt and all that kind of stuff in my body. I was just going out and trying to go 100 miles an hour. That pivot changed everything.
Wow, that's a big moment. And that's also really cool to hear about kind of how you've come back from that now, because it's not just a tough day or a tough body image, like in a specific moment. It's a big picture thing that's going to last for weeks and for months, that injury.
Yeah.
And it's enough for a lot of people to just say, you know what, my body's useless. It's over. I'll either wait till I'm better, or what's the point? Because I could always get injured. If I got injured doing something so easy, anything can happen. Yeah. There's no point in training, but you didn't do that. So it's a really good mindset to have. On the topic of injuries, because I actually have one friend of mine who might listen to this. I think this could help her a lot, maybe somebody else as well. What do you say to the person that maybe has been told by a doctor that they need to take it easy, they need to not move at all for quite a few weeks or a few months, whether that's the true correct advice or not? This person is starting to feel very, very sedentary and kind of going a little crazy because they're not able to take advantage of their body. And they might think there's more they can do, and they're kind of in that hard place. What would you say?
Yeah, that's a tricky one. And I know as a coach, what I always tried to do, if I could, would be have a conversation with the doctor. That's not always possible. And I'm going to answer this question from the point of view of someone who's not working with a coach, right? I think that would actually be easier, because that might be the magnitude. And for that person, you have to understand what the doctor is trying to do is trying to protect you, and that's their job. Their job is to help you heal and protect you. They don't know what your routine looks like. They don't know if it's safe. They don't know if you know what you're doing, right? And so as a coach, when I was working with someone who had an injury or something like that, I was like, hey, can I please just be put in contact with? Because I think if I can help the doctor or that physician know this is the plan that we have, this is what we'll be doing, and these are the parameters in which we'll do it in, that sometimes gives them the okay to go, okay, well, maybe we can go just a little bit further. Like, I don't mind you maybe doing this, but let's hold off for X, Y, Z. I want to respect the physician, but also want to maybe challenge that a little bit and go, there's might be something we can do. And here's case in point. I was working with a gentleman. His name was Aaron, 83 years old, got into a bad accident where he broke his neck. And at 83, that's kind of a game changer, right? And obviously with time, he was bedridden. He wasn't moving, like he had braces on, all that stuff. But with time, the physicians were allowing him to start to move, but they were very, very very adamant that it was going to be like minimal. I'm talking like on your back, doing some like maybe pelvic tilts and like engaging the core, like Kegels and stuff like that. I mean, we're talking like beginner type stuff. And with time, we were able to start introducing a little bit more advanced movement, but it was all around that kind of being cautious. So what I would say to that person who might be listening to this that's really feeling frustrated is I would say seek out some opinions from like professional opinions, but also like, I guess, try to also trust those opinions, but also trust your instincts. It's your body. You know when something's not right. But there also might be some things that you can do, right? So again, going back to Pilates, I mean, a lot of Pilates is just on your back, engaging your core. So if you're in a position where you can do that, why not? It might be different. It might not be the strength training you were thinking of, and it might not be some of that other stuff you want to do in due time. But I guess start with some basics, start with some foundation. Maybe that's the place you can start.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. That's very, very helpful advice in the sense of starting to trust yourself more, and this goes for anything in fitness. I think we tend to, some people tend to not give themselves enough credit because they might not feel educated enough. They might say, oh, I didn't get a degree in this. I'm not a master. I'm not whatever it is. But we all are like, we have instincts, like animals, people, they have very natural instincts that are going to tell you a lot about what is safe, what's not safe, what we should and shouldn't do.
Yeah.
So even though you might not know the exercise technique names or the exact protocols for certain injuries, like that's okay. I'm not saying to just go do whatever, but if you feel like I can go for a pretty solid walk and get my heart rate up and I'll be okay, you'll probably be okay. Like your body's going to give you some pretty clear signs that you should take it easy on certain things and a little bit more aggressive on others.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. And I want to say like that is actually part of my personal fitness philosophy is listen to what my body is saying, because it's going to tell me. And I'll be honest, like today, woke up super tired. Just, it's probably the weather we're having here. It's stormy. You can hear the rain kind of pattering. It just makes you want to hibernate, right? And it was really tough to like just get motivated this morning to do my strength routine. So knowing, like listening to my body, yes, knowing when to like back off, but also like not listening to the body in the sense of like knowing how to mentally push through. Those are the differences. And I think honestly, the more people that you can talk to that are in the industry, right? That person who is injured or maybe wanting to progress, just have some conversations with people and see what the experts are saying. I would never try to cook a Michelin star rated meal. I would never try to strive for that because I just don't have that kind of expertise. Nor do most people have the expertise to truly change their body without the help and opinion and motivation and guidance from others. So, seek out people that you trust. And I'm not talking about just your best friend on social media. I'm talking about someone who has some experience in the field. But yes, listening to your body is absolutely like paramount.
That's amazing. And I can tell, correct me if I'm wrong, but you really are a big advocate of having maybe not a perfect balance, but having a lot of trust in yourself and your own kind of instinct about your body and what's going on, but also finding resources, other people, other opinions, and having a very clear head of what advice is going to work in what situations, not just going with the doctor and the other person, but not only listening to yourself and nobody else, right? You have to kind of be able to take both.
Yeah, for sure.
And critically.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, it's every, I hate to give the industry secrets away, but guess what? Like almost every trainer has a trainer, right? Yeah. Whether that's through social media, someone that we look up to, that we like really follow because they do something progressive that we want to learn from and we get inspired from. But either way, we're also like consuming content from other people. Some of my favorite workouts right now are really because I'm following certain people on YouTube or Patreon or whatever, that, it just makes it easy. They're doing exactly what it is I want to do. And guess what? They're just telling me what to do and I go and execute it. I obviously have the experience where I can modify some of this stuff and make it either more difficult or challenging or whatever. as a trainer. I mean, that's just part of our playbook, man, is constantly being inspired. So you got to have those people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'd love to switch gears a little bit here. For anyone listening, Josh is about as humble as a person can be. So I will give you full rights right now to just be not humble, to kind of sell yourself a little. But I would love to know, honestly, what you feel you are best at when it comes to coaching people in fitness, even if it's more of the mental side, because you've spent a lot of your career working with other trainers, right? And working on the business aspect, on the financial aspect, on the sales aspect, working with people as well in their own fitness. So there's a lot of things that you've worked with. But what do you feel that you're the best at helping people make changes on? And what are I know they're not secrets. I know it's just really principle sound advice, but what are your kind of go-to things that you feel like you can make people change the most, the biggest impact that you have?
Yeah, that's such an interesting question. I don't know if I've really given that a whole lot of thought. So I'll probably kind of stumble through this a little bit. But I really think that I've always been, okay, so I'm a drummer, right? And I love to play drums in live settings. The drummer's responsibility is to bring it all together. That's it. Like, it is to create a foundation for everyone else and push that thing with momentum, but be very sensitive to like everything that's kind of happening in that environment. I feel as a coach, I have a lot of that same responsibility. I kind of found myself early on working with, when I say older population, I do not mean like 70, 80, though I did work with some of those folks too. I just mean anyone that was like a mature mindset, or even like of age, like, whatever, maybe like 40 and over. I guess typically with a lot of my clientele, I didn't really work with a lot of, young athletic folks, but I kind of liked that. I liked it because I think I could relate. Like, I told you about the injury that I had, and that injury was a wake-up call that I wasn't invincible. And with a lot of clientele that had injuries or really big rocks that they just didn't know how to navigate around. So to answer your question, what did I really bring? I think I brought someone that was really good at like connecting with people's visions and their personality, and saying like, okay, this is how they are motivated, and hopefully being a into that and going like, okay, so for this client A, I'm this personality and I'm this person and this is how they respond. Client B can be completely separate, but I'm going to change hats and do a costume change, and then I'm this person for this person. So I think my talent is really kind of reading the room and reading that person, and being whatever I could be to help give them that support in the moment. I think it's kind of a weird answer, but I think it's just maybe intuition and listening to people is really what that comes down to. I hope I answered the question.
That's a very good answer. And I will, in a couple of seconds, I'll say, I think that could have been my similar answer for myself. Maybe that's why we get along so well. I think that's a really unique thing, but that's very cool that you say that. And I've noticed that, because I've seen you talk with, again, a lot of personal trainers, a lot of clients, a lot of different types of people, and you always seem to connect to them really quickly, make them feel important, make them feel valued, and motivate them through that to do what they need to do, not just treating people the same, because not only is that not always the kindest thing, but it's not effective. And I think as a coach, and as, again, another lesson for whoever's listening, if you are looking for a coach, whether it's for fitness or for anything else, or if you're looking just for a mentor, the person you're talking to should give you tough love. They should be tough with you. They should challenge you, but they should adapt to your personality and not just be in their own ways. If you find someone that's very resistant to kind of meet you where you are a little bit, might not be the best person. That's very good. Good to know. Cool. So anything else on that sense? I mean, maybe a slightly different area, but are there any other things more specific to really just the actual parts of fitness, right? Fat loss, muscle gain, strength training, any specific aspects you feel the best to teach, and maybe could share a couple pieces of wisdom on?
Yeah, it's that took a while to kind of find, I guess, like my niche and like the industry. It came down to functional movement and just being able to move well in any element at any time. Now, living in New York City, the joke that I constantly made, or the parallels to kind of bring stuff in, is I would tell that new client that maybe we were having like our first assessment, and saying like, the way I structure a program, the way I kind of like structure all of this is so that at any point, no matter what happens in the day, your body can respond and you can do exactly what it is you need to do, whether that is jump out of a city bike that is the lane and runs a red light, and all of a sudden you find yourself face to face with that bicycle. What are you going to do? And if I can train your body to move quick and move well and to be a little bit more instinctual, then I think you'll be healthy long term. The other example was subway stairs in the winter. They're gonna ice and you're gonna slip. At some point in the winter, you're gonna slip. What is your body gonna do? Is it gonna know how to engage and like find balance, or you're gonna find yourself sliding down your ass downstairs? I'm hoping it's not the latter, right? Functional fitness really became my thing, and that was hard because not every person's goal is to want to just function like an animal. But I think there are just elements that everyone can use, and that, as far as big balance and letting your core be kind of hit from funny angles and stuff like that. So I think functional fitness, I'll just put it under that umbrella, and just having fun moving. I just want to enjoy movement, because you asked a question earlier and I didn't really touch on it, but I'll be honest, I don't enjoy working out. I just don't. I don't enjoy trying to get shredded. I don't enjoy trying to put on a lot of muscle. I don't enjoy those things. I do it because I do this because I know that long term it has an amazing ROI, return on investment. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I'm after, right? Is like, if I can so I'll be able to reap long term. I'll be able to stay healthy term. And so going back to that mantra of mine, I was really hoping that I could also help people find that mantra, which is if not today, when, so I got to do something healthy. So I think that was like my fitness philosophy.
That's awesome. I like that. I like that kind of broader term of functional fitness, and not necessarily in the word might be kind of overdone way a lot of people use functional fitness, but in the true life's meaning of it, like whatever your life is going to be, again, back to what we said earlier, everyone's different. You have to kind of match yourself with personalities. You also have to match your workouts to your life. There isn't a cookie cutter style. So whatever functional means for said person, you need to train that way so you can do the things out of the gym, because getting shredded might be nice, building muscle might be nice. Maybe that's not somebody's goal, but whatever you do in the gym, it doesn't mean anything if you can't survive outside and you can't enjoy your actual day-to-day life. You got to be able to feel strong, mobile, healthy there, so training should reflect that.
Yeah.
One more specific question I have for you, just more very training related. What would you say to someone that wants to get more functional with their training, but they're training from home nowadays? They might not have equipment. They might have a couple things. It might be a little easier with kettlebells and weights. So let's say somebody with zero equipment, what would be your kind of like base level program? Like, do you make sure you're doing these movements?
I'll speak just from my experience. I get bored so quick. And especially, since COVID, like being home, man, I've seen myself go through some many phases, first it was, I was just only running. And I think it was kind of a much needed break from like the deadlifts and the this and the that. It was like, okay, I get to, do me for a minute. Like there's no one to judge my workout routine other than just like enjoying it. There's a couple of folks that I follow on YouTube that I really, really like. And because they blend some of my favorite things. There's a guy, his whole channel is called Movement Parallels Life, right? So it's animal flowy, it's mobility. He has those elements. There's some yoga folks that I follow called Breath and Flow, and it's very progressive yoga. So it has that has strength elements to it. A lot of strength. I've never been able to go through a whole workout and not take rest. Like it's just one of those kind of like, not, I guess, power yoga, but still there's like mobility elements. I guess what I'm really trying to say is today, like all these genres have blended, and we're okay with that. It used to be the yoga purists and the kettlebell purists and the strength purists, and now we're seeing a lot of this kaleidoscope of stuff kind of coming together. So if there's stuff that you like to do, you can someone that is playing on that. And I think start there. What do you enjoy? Right? That was one of the first questions I always asked every person that I could potentially be working with. Tell me about the things that you enjoy doing in the gym. None of it. Okay. Well, what's the one thing that you would do that maybe wouldn't feel like absolute torture? Maybe you don't love it, but like, what is the one thing that at least you can get mentally engaged in? And you kind of start from there, and listening to your body, listening to your mind, start there. That's kind of a roundabout answer, I think, but that's where I would start if I was in that person's position.
That's so funny. Sometimes we ask people, what do you hate the least? The people that really don't want to do anything. What's the least resistant thing for you to do. Very cool. So I think big lesson to take away from that was find what you enjoy. And that's not necessarily to say that every workout should always be super fun and amazing, right? There's going to be hard times. Hell no. There's going to be times where you would do anything else but get off the couch, let alone pick up weights and jump around and be athletic. So sometimes it won't be fun, but in the general sense, you should be doing movements that you see a purpose in, that you get excited by, that you have fun building because you see a bigger, broader purpose of that exercise. So I think it's very helpful. We could start to wrap up a little bit just because the audio isn't as good as I'd like it. So I want to save a little bit more for a future episode where we get cleaner audio. But is there any final stuff that you would love to leave the audience with, whoever's listening, kind of your mantra, your go do this today?
Oh boy.
I love
I guess I'd have to ask myself that same thing, right? And what can I leave folks with is that that's such a good one.
Mm-hmm. No rush.
What can we leave folks with is I think community has a lot to do with folks being successful. One of my questions I would ask folks as if when they were a new client of mine is I would always kind of just try to help them understand, like, where are your support groups? And I go, in the gym, you have me. I'm your support group in the gym. I get to support you and encourage you. What about at work? What about your family? Or what about friends? Like, is there on the journey maybe can relate to some of the stuff you're doing? Now, my wife and I are on very similar journeys. We do a lot of fitness stuff together. We love being outside. So that's an easy thing to find. Not going to lie. There's days that we're like, doing a workout and I see that she's pushing through a movement that I want to give up on. And it makes me want to push a little harder and go, I can't be outdone. Right. So find your community, find the people, and not just the people that have the same beliefs. It might be people that challenge your beliefs a little bit as far as like, fitness, what that could look like. But know where your communities are. So, obviously if people are connected with you, Harris, that's part of the community, that's part of that support. But remember that we are what's the saying? Like, we're like the lowest sum of the 5 people that we hang out with the most. Mm-hmm. But today, not necessarily a physical thing, it's a virtual thing. So who are the 5 people that you're being inspired by, whether you realize it or not? That can be a great influence on YouTube or TikTok or whatever, or it could have a negative impact on you. So who is your community? Who are you putting in your close circle? Who are you listening to? And who are you letting decide like what your beliefs are when it comes to physical fitness? Listen, the truth is, I've worked with hundreds of different clientele up at this point. I've performed thousands and thousands of sessions with folks. Everyone is so different. Harris, your needs, both on a food, nutrition level and physical level, are different than my needs and my wants, right? So I hope people today just go like, what am I like sensing, and what changes can I make for myself, and what is my body and mind telling me? What do I feel comfortable with? That's 100% where I'm at today, and I hope other people can feel comfortable in that space too.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. Anything else you want to share today? You feel like that was kind of the summary point?
Well, I think that's great, man. I think it's a good spot to be. Is just listen. I guess I'll say one last thing. It doesn't always have to be physical, right? Taking time to not every workout, I guess, has to be 1,000% and push to the absolute max where you just feel like you can't get off the floor. Like, I guess, like, let's look at CrossFit, right? Like, that's the whole point, is to be mopped off the floor. Not every workout can be that. So make sure that you do have like a nice balance of what you're doing. And obviously it should coincide with your goals. And the reason I say talk to a professional is because there's so many stigmas in fitness as far as nutrition and stuff, and it's ever changing and ever will be. So don't be afraid to talk to a fitness professional, someone like Harris, that can maybe shine some light on some of the myths that have been out there in regards to fitness.
Awesome.
I'm proud of you, man. I love what you're doing. I've always admired like your drive and how quickly I learned that, you are one of those people that that brings such an amazing element when you walk in the room and when you start sharing and you have a love for people, you have a genuine care for people's success. And so if anyone is needing someone to support them on their fitness journey, I cannot recommend a better individual than yourself, Harris. I mean, hands down.
I appreciate you a lot. That's the whole reason I asked you to come on, just for that clip right there. Just kidding. But
put that on repeat.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Josh. So to sum up, correct me if I missed anything, but big lessons from today are that there's no best time to start, right? You just got to do it now. You don't know what's going to come up. When things come up, even if you've already started, persist through by kind of seeing your bigger mission. You know, there's going to be stuff that comes up. You might get injured, hopefully not, but things like that, things worse, things not as bad will come up. So you just got to keep pushing it through to what your kind of purposes, your goals. Community as far as achieving better health and fitness and strength is so important. I love what you said as far as the 5 people, right? And it might not be 5, it could be 3, it could be 8. You never know, but it's important to not let one other person solely dictate what you do or don't do, right? Or 2 people or whatever number. If you have one person that's kind of your community buddy, that's amazing. But if they don't feel like going to the gym or exercising, that doesn't mean you have to now give up on it. You know, you can reach out to another friend, another coach, another YouTube channel if you don't have that connection with the person. There are endless positive influences out there. So it's really on you to go out and find those, bring them into your circle, build those relationships, and use them when you need them, and give to those people as well.
Yeah. We are in the information age, man. There's no excuse anymore. There's really not anything you need to know, you can find it. And I guess if I had like one last thing, and I think this is how for me, it all ties together, is those who sweat more in practice bleed less in battle. So sweat more in your practice, right? Like put in the work so that, like I was using that analogy of city bike or the stairs, that's the battlefield, right? Life doing its thing. Sweat more in practice, work hard, put in the work. That way, when the test comes, you can draw from that experience.
I need to get some cool editing software to throw these quotes up on the screen. These are epic quotes. I love it. Awesome, Josh. Thank you so much for coming on today. Last thing, is there anything you're working on, projects, like do you have social media, websites, anything you want someone to find you at, anything you want people to know more about that you're doing?
Oh, man. I knew you might ask this, and I am not a social media guy whatsoever. I use it just purely to stalk folks. I just want to know what my friends are doing, and and that it's just staying connected. So I don't put out a ton of stuff on social media, but if anyone has any questions, I'm an open book, man. In fact, that was one of my mantras as a trainer. Everything I learn, I give away for free. Everything I learn is someone else's to learn as well. So if people want to reach out to me, they can always, I guess, go through you, and you can pass my contact information. I'm happy just to answer any questions or be of support or whatever. That's really what it's about, is just building your network of people you trust. And I'm happy to play that role.
Amazing. I can leave your contact info in the podcast show notes. So if you're listening, check those out, contact Josh and get some help. He's awesome. All right. Thank you, man. I'm excited to do this again, and I will do my best to make it clear, the video, the audio, for those listening, so it's an easier ride.
Hey, we're making it work, man. I appreciate you having me, Harris.
Oh, yeah, man. Absolutely. All right. Take care, Josh.
Yes, sir.
Bye-bye.